We are live at Fasig-Tipton's headquarters in Lexington, Kentucky with the company's Chief Financial Officer, Joe Smith. And very grateful to be here. Joe, I know you have a pretty traditional background in finance. How did you come to Fasig-Tipton?
Well, I've always been interested in the equine business growing up here in Lexington. Used to spend my spring breaks going to Keeneland instead of Florida. But I actually know the CEO, Boyd Browning. We worked together at Ernst & Winnie many, many years ago. And when an opportunity came up for me to look for a career, I talked to Boyd, and just by happenstance, his CFO was looking to retire, and so it's kind of one of those things. Timing was perfect, so I was fortunate enough to come here a little over 3 years ago.
Well, you have a critical role at this big auction company, and it's a business like any other business. So how does this business make money? How does it bring in revenues, and what are some of the expenses that you have to manage?
Well, the basic place we make money is we get an auction fee based on the sale of horses. So obviously the more horses at the higher volume means more income for us. Our expenses are like a lot of companies. Obviously salaries is a big part of it because our people make up who we are. So obviously we have to manage that business. But there's also, we have some third parties that help us during auctions, and so we have to maintain our facility. So you have to have a high quality place. So there's cost to keeping these places up. You want to have a great customer experience, and obviously with that you generate, the revenue that you get.
And as you look at auction by auction, I know Fasig has a number throughout the calendar. Most are physical auctions, live auctions. Some are even digital now. But in any case, how, as the finance leader of the company, do you analyze a given auction? How do you determine if it's a success and the trends are good?
Well, there's several things we look at. Obviously, from our standpoint, our commission revenue is based off of gross sales. So that's basically number of horses sold versus an average. So that's obviously two key things that we're going to look at. But you really got to look at the underlying health for long-term success. So a couple other factors to look at besides, say, average horse and number sold. You ought to look at the median, because that is a truer, where are things. Average can be skewed by, if you have one or two big horses sale, that's great, but that's going to make things maybe look better than the overall health. So median is very, very important. Another one is the R&A rate, or chargeback rate. Obviously you're going to have some of those, but we'd like to keep that number where it's fairly reasonable number. If that gets to be too high, you're going to lose momentum, and people might start losing some, do I want to come back here? Because, gosh, I'm only going to, if it's a third, then, do I really want to come here and try to sell my horse? So those two are, I think, median and chargeback, just looking at the true health of a sale, of things I would look at.
Last question, Joe. As the leader, the finance leader of this company, like within any company, you'd have to evaluate maybe new investments. So where are the trends going in the auction company industry, and how might you evaluate a new investment or a new project that Fasig-Tipton would do?
Well, it's the same thing that you have with all businesses. You need to look at your estimated rate of return. So how much money am I going to put up, and what do I think the benefit's going to be? So is it a reduction in cost? Okay, well, what are those? Is it incremental revenue? Either you're going to sell more of something, or you're going to open up something. So you look at that and the time period to get back. So there is that's the process you go through. Now, as we've talked about, you also sometimes have some intangibles that you want to give some value to. If it's enhancing the customer experience, then you can factor that in. But basically, it is an internal rate of return. As we look to the future, technology is going to continue to be a part of it. Digital sales, which you mentioned, is always going to be something that I think is going to grow. But we're also going to look at how do we process different things, and how can technology make us more efficient. So we'll continue to evaluate those things, and obviously enhance the customer experience, and also if there's obviously ways we can gain efficiencies over time, then we're going to continue to look at those investments.
Thanks, Joe. You've given the students of the Equine Finance course at Midway University some just amazing info. insights.
appreciate that.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.